this a bit yesterday, but essentially, I have a workflow that has a lot of LLM calls in order to create problems for learning an app, and we just set up evals in the past week, and so I'm now swapping over to a more pure agentic loop. But that's actually not what I wanted to talk about today. I mostly wanted to talk about, I think this will be a brief one. I feel like how you communicate with LLMs is probably an okay, if not like a pretty accurate reflection of how you manage. And the reason I say that is a there's times where I'm sure you've like either done, I know I've done myself, or seen examples of people being frustrated with LLMs because they go, make me an app, and then they're mad that it doesn't work, or make me this function that does this, or fix this bug that does this, and they get upset with how the actual outcome of the LLM is. And I think it's unfair because I've seen so often that if I just give it the right context, it can do the task. And so, now don't get me wrong, there's definitely a bunch of like blind spots that LLMs have, and I think some of it comes down to having to always give an answer, which I'll tell you what I mean by that in a second. But yeah, like there's been times where I'm designing, and in fact, that's what I'm doing right now, where I'm designing something that I want the LLM to do, like a refactor. And in the refactor, I'm like going over the design. I'm having it do a design doc. Based off the design doc, I'm actually having it update something a little bit. And it's just like a good manager or a good technical lead would do. I'm scaffolding out, this is how the project should look. The LLM's still going to execute it, but I'm making sure that it's going to do a good job. I'm setting it up for success. And I think that's what good tech leads do. That's what good managers do. That's what good senior and principal engineers do. And so, yeah, I thought that was kind of interesting. And if you're new to using LLMs, keep that in mind, that they're super solid at executing and really good at asking the right questions if you prompt them to. But make sure they do the work and you do the work with them so that what they output isn't just a bunch of slop. And you do that ahead of time in the design phase, which anti-gravity is awesome for. You see, like, I don't know if you can see on that screen there, but I just had it set up a diagram, a bunch of code snippets of like what I want some of like the core aspects are going to look like, because I don't want it to generate everything and it be tied around this core functionality, and I don't like how that core functionality works, and then everything else just crumbles down with it. What tester it's going to have to run, and then also I'm going to continue adding like setup. So yeah, and then the other thing I was going to mention was, as far as like the blind spots that LMs have, kind of a side note, more like a meta of why I think they have these really dumb blind spots. But like, for example, I'll have a failing test and I'll highlight the test and give it to the LLM and say, hey, this test is breaking. And like 3 times out of 10, it goes, oh, the test is breaking because the expectation is wrong, right? Like the assertion you have is wrong. Let me fix it. And so then it just fixes it. And when I say wrong, I don't mean it's like the code is functionally correct or functioning correctly. I just mean that it sees the output from the test as giving something else, and it just conforms it to that test. The reason I think LLMs currently have those blind spots is because the way they're trained is they always have to respond with something. And I'm sure there's a bunch of data sets or samples in a bunch of different data sets and across the web or even now in its own synthetic data sets, where the goal of answering and outputting something is better than saying nothing. And actually, it's funny because to tie it back to the management conversation, I've seen this over time when like there's certain like leaders or managers or tech leads that they don't necessarily reward pauses or like, taking a breath to question what are we actually doing. Instead, they constantly reward just movement, just doing stuff, being productive, but just for the sake of making everybody feel like they're being productive. And with those reward systems, and it's not like, they're explicitly saying, good job, you continued to solve the problem I gave you, or good job for continuing the conversation and giving me some more things to think about. But it's just implicit. You get more out of the manager, more excitement, or, more like, rewards, and however they will, or reinforcements, however they will reinforce that to you as a managee, or if you're the manager and you're doing that. But there's also other tech leads and leaders and managers that will pause and say, do we really need to do this? Like, and even reward the people, maybe not even necessarily managees, but just on the team that are saying, like, questioning the fundamental premise of is this something we even want to work on? Like, why are we all having this conversation? Is this just a waste of time? And I think LLMs are in that other mode of management, or communication, I should say. It's not just management, but communication, where they're always have to say something, and since they always have to say something, I think that can sometimes lead to never questioning what you're doing, and you end up with these failed dumb test cases of like, oh, I added the fix by just changing it to what the output was from the actual code. So that's it. That's everything I got to say for that. I'm gonna continue hacking at this. I'll probably do a better update tomorrow as far as where things stand here, and replacing the agent loop, since I didn't get it all running and tested yet. Obviously, I'm still in the design phase. But yeah, hopefully there's some more interesting technical topics tomorrow. But I just wanted to talk a little bit about that because that was something top of mind as I was doing this. All right, I will see you guys tomorrow.